My name is Juniper Vale. The day we buried my parents, the town looked exactly the same as the day I left it. Same diner sign flickering. Same white church. Same polite condolences spoken in voices that never changed. I stood still, but my life had already been split in two. My brother Theo looked calm beside the casket. Too calm. As if this moment had been expected, scheduled, prepared for. After the service, we followed Mr. Avery, the family lawyer, to his office. He closed the blinds, the room quieting as though the world outside didn't matter now. He read the will. Everything, the land, the equipment, the cabin, the accounts, went to Theo. Only Theo. The words landed like slow stones. Theo did not react. His jaw stayed steady. His hands stayed still. He already knew. Then Mr. Avery turned a page. There is a second provision. Clause 9. The air in the office changed. The clause said Theo would keep everything only if he fulfilled certain responsibilities. Maintaining sustainable farm operations, continuing my mother's literacy program, submitting transparent accounting. If he failed, the entire estate would transfer to me. Not shared. All of it. Theo didn't speak, but something behind his eyes hardened. We returned to the farmhouse. Familiar rooms watched us like witnesses. The place smelled like cedar and tea and everything that was gone. I went to my parents' bedroom and opened my mother's dresser. I don't know why. Grief moves your hands before your mind agrees. An envelope lay beneath folded sweaters. My name on it. Her handwriting. Juniper. If you are reading this, look closely. Good intentions can be guided into harm. Love your brother but trust what you see. My chest tightened. She knew something. Not about Theo, about someone near him. I went to my father's desk. When I was a child, he showed me a hidden panel. I pressed the corner. It opened. Inside lay a ledger. His neat handwriting filled every page. For years the numbers matched seasons: planting, harvesting, repairs. Then 2 years ago something changed. Small transfers began appearing. Then larger. The memo line said, Community Literacy Fund. My mother's program. A box of donated books and cookies after reading time. Not something that should move thousands. I turned another page. A routing trail. Then a name. Vale Agricultural Development. And below it, Cayman. My stomach turned cold. Cayman meant offshore. Cayman meant someone used the literacy fund to filter money elsewhere. Someone clever. Someone trusted. Theo's truck rumbled outside. I closed the ledger and put it back. He entered the kitchen. His face was tired, but when he looked at me, something guarded flickered there. Mom and Dad trusted me to handle the land, he said. I know. I am not going to lose it. Not because of paperwork. He left before I could answer. When the house quieted, I spread the ledger pages and photographed everything. Then I called Milo, my fiancé, who works in compliance. He answered immediately. June. I told him the truth. The will. The transfers. Cayman. His voice sharpened. Do not confront Theo. Not yet. Someone advised him. These structures don't build themselves. He told me to look for attachment B, the proof meant for the clause. I searched again. A business card slipped from between old tax forms. Ellery Consulting, Stewardship and Continuity. Marcus Ellery. The same words used in the clause. Milo's reply came fast. Ellery is known for moving assets quietly. He uses trust language to make people feel responsible while he takes control. Do not sign anything. Make sure Theo doesn't sign anything else. The hallway clock chimed. The house felt like it was listening. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Attachment B is in the barn. I looked through the window. The barn stood in the dark, its doors slightly open, like something breathing inside. I put on my boots. I stepped outside. The grass whispered under my feet. I pushed the barn door. A flashlight beam snapped on, blinding me. A voice I didn't recognize said, Juniper, put your hands where I can see them. The flashlight beam pinned me in place. My heartbeat kicked hard against my ribs, but I didn't raise my hands out of fear. I raised them because whoever stood in the barn already knew my name. The beam lowered just enough for me to see him. Mr. Avery. The same lawyer who had read the will that morning. His expression was tight. Not apologetic. Controlled. I needed to speak with you privately, he said. By ambushing me in a barn? I asked. His jaw worked once. If I requested a meeting, Theo would insist on being present. And you need to hear this before he does. He reached into his coat and handed me a sealed manila envelope. The handwriting across the front made my knees weaken. My mother's. Attachment B. I slid the papers free. The barn light was dim, but the writing was unmistakable. My mother had listed dates, transfers, account summaries, every deviation from normal farm operations, starting exactly the month she became ill. She had been tracking it. Quietly. Carefully. While dying. My vision blurred, but I kept reading. At the bottom of the page was a single sentence. The person influencing your brother is not acting in his interest. Do not confront until the audit begins. They will expect fear. Answer with preparation. I swallowed. Hard. Mr. Avery watched me, hands in his pockets. Your mother gave me those documents 1 week before she passed. She told me to hold them until the moment Juniper knows something is wrong. And you knew, I said. My voice came out low. You knew someone was using our family. His eyes tightened. I suspected. But suspicion without proof only destroys from the inside. He stepped closer, his voice careful. Your mother did not distrust Theo. She feared the man whispering into his decisions. Marcus Ellery, I said. The lawyer didn't react. Which told me the answer was yes. Your mother asked me to watch the timing, he continued. If the transfers became larger after she passed, it meant pressure was increasing. They did. They had doubled. Tripled. My mother saw the storm coming and built me a shelter out of paper and ink. I folded the documents and slid them inside my coat. Thank you. But Mr. Avery didn't step aside. His voice dropped lower. Juniper, you must understand something. Men like Ellery do not lose quietly. They rely on confusion, guilt, and family loyalty. He will use Theo against you. He already is, I said. Yes, Avery replied. But he has not played his strongest piece. I held his gaze. What piece? He hesitated, then spoke the words in a whisper. He will try to make you choose between the land and your brother's freedom. The air seemed to thicken, because I knew what that meant. If transfers were proven fraudulent, Theo would be held legally responsible. Not Marcus. The consultant always protects his hands. I won't let Jonah go to jail, I said. Avery's brow furrowed, confused. Jonah. I blinked. For the first time, I realized I had spoken the wrong name. I corrected myself. Theo. I meant Theo. But something inside me shifted. A memory I hadn't touched in years. Jonah. My childhood friend. The boy who left town at 17. The boy everyone said broke apart after our families fell out. Why had his name surfaced now? Mr. Avery didn't push the slip. He simply said, do not act alone. Bring someone who understands financial manipulation. Someone who cannot be emotionally baited. I already did, I said. Milo is helping. Avery nodded slowly. Not relief, calculation. Then the only thing left is timing. Before I could respond, a truck engine roared up the driveway. Headlights cut across the barnyard with violent speed. Theo. He slammed the truck door and stormed toward us. He didn't look confused. He looked betrayed. You went to him, he shouted at me. You didn't talk to me. You talked to him. I stepped forward. Theo, listen. No. His voice cracked sharp. Marcus told me you'd twist things. That you'd try to take everything from me. Mom and Dad trusted me. They trusted me. Why can't you? The hurt in his voice was real. That was the worst part. This isn't about the land, I said. This is about someone using you. Theo's eyes were wild. You don't get to say that. You left. I stayed. You don't get to show up and decide I'm not good enough. He reached for the envelope in my coat. Mr. Avery stepped between us. Theo. Stop. Theo's voice dropped into something cold. Give me the documents, Juniper. Now. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Milo. The audit flag just triggered. Ellery knows. Theo took one step closer. If you don't hand them over, you're choosing this fight. And I won't back down. The barn door behind him creaked open. A silhouette stepped inside. Marcus. He looked at Theo first. Not me. like he was checking his piece on a board. Then he smiled. Good, Marcus said softly. Everyone is finally where they need to be. Marcus stepped into the barn like he belonged there. The door swung shut behind him with a soft click, sealing us inside with the hay dust air and the weight of things we hadn't said yet. He didn't look at me first. He looked at Theo. Theo, he said, voice smooth, steady, practiced. Thank you for coming when I asked. Theo's shoulders jolted, barely but enough. Hearing it spoken aloud broke the illusion that Theo had come on his own. I came because she's making this worse, Theo said, pointing at me. She's trying to take everything from us. Marcus didn't correct him. He didn't need to. He just placed himself slightly beside Theo, close enough to imply alliance, distant enough to imply objectivity. I want the truth, I said. Not the land. Not control. The truth. Theo laughed once, brittle. You left. You don't know what it took to keep this place alive. He was shaking now. Fear does that. Not fear of losing the farm, fear of facing he might have already lost control of it. Marcus stepped closer, as if to steady him without touching. Your sister isn't the enemy, he murmured. She's overwhelmed. Grief makes people misinterpret things. Theo exhaled shakily, and I saw the way Marcus had worked himself under his skin, not as power but as reassurance. The worst manipulation never feels like force. Feels like comfort. Mom left evidence, I said softly. She tracked the transfers. She saw what was happening. Theo's jaw locked. That landed hard. I took the envelope attachment B from my coat. This isn't accusation. This is clarity. Look, please. I slid the envelope toward him on the barn floor. Theo stared at it like it was fire. Then Marcus moved. Not fast. Not aggressive. Just one quiet step. His boot landed on the envelope. Ownership. Effortless. Theo froze. I didn't look at the envelope. I looked at Marcus. This was never about helping him, I said. You needed him to sign things you couldn't sign yourself. Marcus didn't blink. I structured the estate so it could survive. Land is vulnerable. Water rights shift. Markets collapse. Your family legacy required guidance. That word again. Guidance. That was what he sold. Not advice, not planning, direction disguised as protection. You isolated him, I said. You made him believe he would fail without you. Theo flinched. Marcus finally looked at me. His tone dropped lower. Quiet enough that only I and Theo would hear. If you trigger the audit, your brother becomes legally responsible for every transfer. Signatures carry weight. Courts do not punish influence. They punish signatories. Theo's breath broke. Marcus didn't look at him. He didn't need to. He knew exactly where the knife had landed. I stepped closer to Theo. Slowly. Carefully. I am not here to destroy you, I said. I am here because Mom wanted the truth preserved. She trusted you. And she trusted me. Both of us. Theo's eyes were bright. Confusion, grief, shame mixing until none of them had edges. He whispered, I don't know who to believe. His voice was the voice of childhood, the boy who used to wait for me at the end of the driveway every morning. My heart ached. But if I reached for him now, Marcus would win. He needed me emotional so he could call me irrational. So I stayed still. Then believe Mom, I said. Read what she left. Marcus pressed his boot harder onto the envelope. No, he said softly. Not like this. Not through conflict. He turned to Theo, finally meeting his eyes directly. There is still a way to avoid disgrace. To avoid damage. But only if we act together. Together meant under him. The barn felt too small. Too quiet. Too lined with history. My phone buzzed. I didn't need to read it to know. But I did. Milo. The audit has been filed. It activates at sunrise. I looked up. Marcus already knew. His expression didn't break. Just adjusted. He stepped back from the envelope, like the move didn't matter anymore. You have made your choice, he said. Not angry. Not surprised. I had done exactly what he expected. Theo turned toward me, and the look in his eyes wasn't accusation. It was fear. Fear that I had just pulled the first brick from the foundation of our family. He whispered, barely audible. Juniper, what have you done? Theo stared at me like I had lit a match in a dry field. His breathing was fast, shallow. Not anger, fear he could not hide. The audit is automatic, I said quietly. It starts at sunrise. No one can stop it now. Marcus didn't react. He simply adjusted his stance, hands in his coat pockets. Audits don't determine guilt, he said evenly. Narrative does. Context does. If the reviewer sees confusion instead of clarity, the estate will be frozen. The farm will collapse. And the collapse will lead back to whoever initiated the audit. Theo latched onto the implication instantly. So this is on her. No, I said. It's on whoever used Mom's literacy fund to move money. Theo flinched, and I knew he heard the truth in that. But Marcus stepped in before it could settle. Theo, he said mildly, your sister is overwhelmed. She left the farm years ago. She doesn't understand the financial strain you've been managing alone. The barn felt smaller. The dust in the air thicker. Theo swallowed hard. She thinks I ruined everything. Not ruined, I said. Manipulated. That word hit him. He recoiled like I had struck him. Marcus moved closer, not touching him, just anchoring his presence. You kept this land alive, he said to Theo. Your parents trusted you because you showed up. Every day. Rain. Frost. Hospital visits. Hospice. You carried burdens she never saw. The words were precise. Marcus didn't need to lie. He only needed to frame. Theo's eyes shone. I did, he whispered. I did everything. Yes, Marcus said softly. And now she wants to take it. My chest tightened. This was the trap. If I defended myself emotionally, Marcus would call it hysteria. If I went cold, Theo would call it cruelty. So I spoke only my mother's truth. Mom left attachment be because she believed you were good. Good doesn't mean invulnerable. I lifted the envelope slightly. She wasn't protecting the land from you. She was protecting you from someone else. Theo looked at the envelope. Really looked. His hand twitched. Marcus stepped between us, just half a step, but it was enough. His boot landed lightly on the barn floor, stopping Theo from reaching for the truth without ever having to say the words. My pulse hammered. Let him see it, I said. Marcus finally met my eyes. Calm. Controlled. Certain. Not like this. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His authority had already been planted inside my brother. The land is leveraged, Marcus continued. The equipment is collateral. If assets freeze, creditors call notes. Payroll stops. Workers leave. The farm shuts down. He let silence stretch. Your parents built stability. She is risking it. Theo's face broke. I can't lose it, June. I can't. You won't, I said. But we need to show the auditor the real numbers, not the ones someone crafted. Theo's gaze shifted toward Marcus, seeking reassurance. Marcus didn't even look at him. He knew he already had him. Mr. Avery spoke at last. Theo, your mother documented everything. Let us show you before sunrise. Theo shook his head. If I look and it's true, then I sign the transfers. I'll be the one punished. And that was the crack Marcus was waiting for. If you love your brother, Marcus said to me softly, you will stop. Not a threat. A sentence shaped as responsibility. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Milo. Audit schedule is confirmed. First review in the morning. Marcus didn't react. He already knew the outcome. He already saw the board 3 moves ahead. Theo's voice came out small. June, what have you done? Something inside me ached enough to bruise. But I did not apologize. Because apology is the doorway manipulators walk through. I picked up the envelope. I'll be at the house at sunrise, I said. I'll show you everything. You can choose the truth yourself. I walked out of the barn. No one followed. The night air was sharp, cold enough to sting. Mr. Avery walked beside me without speaking. When we reached the truck, I looked down at the envelope and froze. Inside, beneath attachment B, was another unopened letter. Written in my mother's handwriting. Not addressed to me. Addressed to Theo. I didn't open the letter in the truck. I just stared at the name written on it in my mother's handwriting. Theo. Not my children. Not to both of you. Just him. which meant she knew something about my brother none of us had faced while she was alive. Mr. Avery drove in silence. He didn't ask what I was thinking. He already knew. When we reached his office, he locked the door and gestured to the long table. I placed Theo's letter down, careful like it could bruise. "You're not going to read it," he said quietly. "I know. But wanting and resisting are two different wars." He sat across from me. "Your mother saw traits in both of you clearly. You lead by truth. Your brother leads by duty. That makes him easy to influence if he thinks he has failed." "Ellery saw that," I whispered. "And used it," Avery finished. "I slept only a few hours. Dawn came gray and thin. My hands shook when I made coffee. Milo arrived before the sun fully cleared the trees. He didn't speak until he sat beside me. "Show me what your mother tracked." We laid everything across the table. Ledger copies. Transfer logs. Clause 9. Attachment B. Each entry mapped exactly when my mother began to suspect something was wrong. The same month her illness worsened. She had been building evidence while dying. Milo tapped one line after another with calm precision. This wasn't sloppy fraud. It was designed to look like seasonal rebalancing. Whoever structured this didn't expect to be questioned. "Ellery," I said. "Yes," Milo replied. "He didn't just move money. He rewrote the reason the money moved. That's how loyalty becomes blindness." Footsteps sounded outside. "Theo." He looked drained, as if he hadn't slept at all. There was no anger now, just exhaustion and something fragile under it. "Show me," he said. So I did. I let him read in silence. I didn't guide. I didn't interpret. I let him confront it alone. He read until his shoulders sagged, and his hand covered his mouth. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I thought I was protecting the farm. I thought," his voice cracked, "I thought I was doing what they would have wanted." "You were," I said softly. "And that's why Mom tried to shield you. She wasn't afraid of you. She was afraid for you." Theo's eyes closed, tears gathering but not falling. "So what do we do?" Before I could answer, the back door opened. Marcus stepped inside. He didn't look surprised to see the documents spread across the table. His expression was calm, deliberate, as if he had rehearsed every reaction before he walked through the door. "The audit began this morning," he said. "Which means you have two paths." He didn't look at me. He looked at Theo. "Path 1. Allow me to manage the response. The farm remains stable. No disruptions. No legal complications. No shame." His voice was steady, but his eyes were locked on the part of Theo that still feared losing everything our parents built. "And path 2? I asked. He finally looked at me. "Chaos." Theo's breath hitched. Milo spoke, voice level. "Don't listen. He's framing the consequence, not the truth." Marcus didn't acknowledge him. He kept his attention on my brother. "You are terrified," Marcus said. "You should be. You signed documents you didn't understand. But your sister," his tone softened. "She doesn't have anything to lose. She can burn the house down and walk away." That landed like a blow. Theo looked at me, eyes searching, aching, unsure. Marcus leaned in, quiet enough to feel intimate. "Ask yourself who suffers if she continues. You, not her." The room held stillness like a held breath. Milo looked at me. "Juniper. Now." I reached for the letter. The one addressed to Theo. His hand trembled as he took it. And Marcus, for the first time, lost composure. Just a flicker. Barely visible. "Don't open that," he said. Not calm. Not measured. Afraid. Theo looked up slowly. "What's in here?" he asked. Marcus took a step forward, too fast, control slipping. "Theo, listen to me. Whatever she left." Theo broke the wax seal. The barn. The audit. The money. The manipulation. All of it narrowed to this moment. Theo unfolded the letter, and his face changed before he even read the first line. Theo held the letter for a long second before he opened it. His hand shook, but not from fear, from recognition. The handwriting was our mother's, steady even near the end. He read slowly, line by line. The room stayed silent. Marcus didn't wait. He stepped toward Theo, voice low and gentle. "Give it to me. You're stressed." This isn't the moment to. No, Theo said. Just one word. But it was the first time he had told Marcus no. Marcus stilled. The smile he kept polished slipped for half a second. Theo read again. His shoulders dropped. His face changed, disbelief, grief, then something harder. My mother wrote this while she was dying, he murmured. She was watching us. She saw everything. Marcus moved closer, tone soft again. She was ill. Pain affects perception. You cannot make life decisions based on. Theo looked up sharply. Do not speak about her like that. That was the crack Marcus had not anticipated. Milo spoke calmly. Your mother documented the transfers. She knew someone was using your guilt. Theo swallowed. She wrote that the moment I believed I was nothing without him, I would already be lost. Marcus didn't blink. He adjusted his approach. You think I helped you because you were weak? He said. No. You stayed when everyone else left. You did every hard thing alone. I respected that. That is why I chose you. For a moment it nearly worked. Because it was true. And truth mixed with control is the most dangerous form of manipulation. Theo's voice was barely sound. I just wanted to keep the farm. You did, I said. And he used your loyalty to sign what he couldn't. Marcus turned to me then, and the warmth vanished. If the audit continues, your brother will be held responsible. Not me. His signature is on every transfer. He will be the one who falls. Not you. That landed like a blade. Theo's breathing shook. So if I choose the audit, I destroy myself. Yes, Marcus said. But if you choose me. Milo cut him off. We already reviewed the contracts. Transparency shifts liability to the advisor who structured the transfers. You. Marcus's jaw tightened. I opened my mother's records. Not raising my voice. Not forcing. Just placing truth on the table. We show the auditor the original ledgers. Mom's notes. The consulting agreements. The timeline. You don't fall, Theo. You get free. Theo looked between us, me, Milo, Marcus. Then Marcus played his final card. He pulled a folded document from his coat and placed it in front of Theo. A release agreement. Sign this, he said, voice smooth again. The audit ends. The farm is protected. You keep everything. Your sister receives a buyout. Quiet. Clean. No shame. Theo lifted it with unsteady hands. Read the final clause. His face went white. Consultant retains permanent authority. Marcus didn't want to save the farm. He wanted to own it and keep Theo as the name on paper. You were never helping me, Theo whispered. You were replacing me. Marcus finally lost composure. You cannot run this without me. You never could. Theo stood. His chair scraped the floor. I can now. Marcus stepped toward him. Milo stepped between them. Calm. Unmoving. A wall. No yelling. No escalation. Just a line drawn. The house was silent. Then, the front door opened. Footsteps. Papers. A voice. County auditors. We need to speak with the current executor of the Dalton estate. Theo froze. Milo didn't turn. I did. The lead auditor held a file in his hand, one I recognized instantly. My mother's case file. The one she started before she died. He looked at Theo and said, We received a posthumous disclosure request from your mother. We'll need to review it with all present parties. The auditor stepped fully inside, letting the door close behind him. He was mid-50s, square-shouldered, neutral expression, exactly the kind of man who doesn't react to tears or raised voices. The kind who records, verifies, concludes. Executor of the Dalton estate? He asked. Theo swallowed. That's me. Marcus spoke first. Smooth. Confident. We will need to schedule the review formally. There are documents and... The auditor raised a hand. Not rude. Just final. The review is already active. A posthumous disclosure request filed by your mother grants immediate investigatory access to all financial documentation and advisory agreements. Marcus froze. Because that meant the review wasn't triggered by me. It had been triggered by her. She had set the audit in motion before she died, timed for after her passing. Milo exhaled once, slow. She knew exactly how long the transfers would take to show pattern. Theo looked at me, shock, grief, clarity all tangled. She was preparing this the whole time. The auditor took a seat. I'll need the full ledger set, consulting contracts, agricultural loan statements, and any amendments to the estate directive. Milo had them ready. He slid the folders across the table, precise and silent. He had anticipated this moment days before any of us had. Marcus remained still, watching, calculating. Theo sat down too, letter still beside him. His hands were steady now, not calm, anchored. The auditor opened the first ledger. This matches the estate records from 3 years ago. No discrepancies. He opened the second, then the third. Each showed a subtle shift, small transfers, barely noticeable, masked as operational variances. They accumulated slowly, predictably, deliberately. My mother had mapped everyone. The auditor nodded once. These movements are consistent with asset positioning, likely advised by an external financial consultant. He didn't look at Marcus. He didn't need to. Theo spoke quietly. I didn't understand what I was signing. I thought I was protecting the farm. The auditor didn't give sympathy. He gave truth. Intent matters for sentencing, not liability. Theo flinched. Marcus finally moved. He reached into his coat. I have the consulting contracts here. Fully compliant. Every signature voluntary. He placed them on the table like a man laying down a winning card. The auditor flipped through pages. One page. Another. Then, he stopped. His finger rested on a signature date. This contract was signed 7 days before your mother's final hospitalization. Theo's head snapped up. She wasn't able to sign legal paperwork that week. The auditor nodded. We have hospital documentation confirming she was under sedation. Signatures cannot be valid during medical incapacity. The room went silent. Marcus didn't blink. Her daughter signed in her place. Power of attorney. The auditor looked at him. Then show me the medical power of attorney granting legal authority. Marcus didn't move. He didn't have it. Because there wasn't one. My mother never gave him authority. He had forged decision-making through implied urgency and emotional dependency. Theo stared at him like he had never seen him before. You said she asked you, he whispered. You said she wanted you to guide me. Marcus didn't defend. He redirected. If the audit proceeds, you will be responsible for every transfer. You will lose the farm. Everything your parents built will be gone. I am the only person who can keep that from happening. Theo stood. Slow. Deliberate. For the first time he was taller than Marcus. You keep saying I will lose everything, Theo said. But you are the one who is afraid. Marcus stayed silent. Theo lifted the letter, our mother's letter, and read the final line aloud. When the truth hurts, remember you are still my son. You were never meant to carry this alone. Theo lowered the paper. My mother knew. She trusted me to find my way back. Marcus took one step closer, but this time Milo was there before him. A final barrier. No threats. Just presence. The auditor closed the folder. We will now review liability, responsibility, and intent. Marcus turned to Theo. And his voice was no longer polished. If you stand against me, you will regret it. Theo didn't look away. I already do. Marcus's phone vibrated on the table. He looked at the screen. And his face finally broke. Marcus stared at his phone screen, and for the first time since I had known him, his composure cracked. Not fully. Just enough to expose the fracture beneath. He turned the screen face down, slow, deliberate, like someone trying to trap panic beneath his palm. The auditor noticed. Is there something relevant you need to disclose? He asked. Marcus's voice was steady again, but thinner. No. But Theo saw it. He always saw emotional shifts. He had spent his entire life reading storms in silence, tension in rooms no one else noticed. He leaned forward, eyes locked on Marcus. Who was that? Marcus didn't answer. And that was the answer. Milo opened his laptop. Audit Data Sync just triggered a cross-check with state agricultural grants and loan subsidies. He paused. If there are matching transfers at the county level, they'll flag consultant oversight. Meaning, if Marcus moved money anywhere else, it would show. And the phone call meant someone had already seen it. Marcus inhaled slowly through his nose. If you give the auditor incomplete context, you will place yourself in direct legal jeopardy. Theo didn't look away. Tell the truth. Marcus finally turned to him and the last mask fell. I saved you, he said. When your mother was dying, when the crops failed, when the loans came due, when your sister was gone. I never asked you to save me, Theo said quietly. Marcus's expression sharpened. No. But you needed me to. Silence. The auditor continued reviewing documents. He did not intervene. He didn't need to. Truth unraveling does not require persuasion. I watched my brother turn something over inside himself, the version of him built by exhaustion and grief, by guilt and obligation, and let it break. The role you want, Theo said, is not advisor. It is owner. Marcus didn't deny it. The land should belong to the one strong enough to lead, Marcus said. Your parents had that. They built a legacy with iron in their hands. Weakness would rot this place from the inside. I prevented that. You replaced them, I said. No, he replied, voice calm again. I replaced the part of them that failed. Theo flinched, and that hurt him more than anything else said that day. Because it was the lie he had believed about himself for years, that he wasn't enough. My mother had written to save him from that. Theo sat fully upright. The tremor in his hands was gone. The audit continues, he said. Marcus's jaw clenched. You cannot do this without me. You did not teach me how to run this farm, Theo said. You taught me how to fear losing it. Milo closed the ledger. Auditor has enough to demonstrate structured influence tying advisory role to transfer pattern. Liability trending toward consultant authority. Marcus turned toward the auditor. You are making a mistake. You do not understand the pressure on this estate. There are workers, families, contracts. The audit evaluates documentation, the auditor replied. Not narratives. Marcus exhaled once, the kind of breath someone takes before making a move they know cannot be undone. He placed both hands on the table. If I fall, he said quietly, I will not fall alone. Theo didn't blink. You already did. Marcus looked at me then. Really looked. Measuring. Calculating again. Searching for a weakness. You always wanted to be the hero, he said. The selfless sister returning to fix everything. You think this ends clean? You think the county will applaud you? I didn't respond. Because this was the final manipulation, not aimed at Theo but at me. Trying to make me doubt the cost of doing the right thing. Trying to make me hesitate. Trying to make me responsible for his fall. I didn't take the bait. I kept my voice steady. This ends with the truth. Marcus's phone buzzed again. A second notification. He didn't dare look this time. Milo did. The screen lit just long enough for him to read the preview reflection in the polished table surface. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply said, that is a federal sender ID. The auditor stopped writing. Theo tensed. Marcus reached for the phone, but I was faster. I caught it and slid it across the table to the auditor. He turned it face up. A message notification glowed. Federal Agricultural Fraud Division, inquiry escalation logged. Marcus closed his eyes. Not like a man afraid. Like a man calculating what to salvage. Do not answer that without counsel, he said. The auditor replied. I already have. Marcus straightened, shoulders square, voice calm once again, returning to the battlefield in his mind. You have no idea what you have just started. Theo stood. I am finishing what Mom started. The auditor looked up and said, we will need to interview every person who handled these accounts, starting with the one who initiated the first transfer. Every eye turned to Theo. Theo stood very still when the auditor said his name. His eyes moved to the letter on the table, our mother's handwriting, the last voice she could leave him. I watched him choose who he would be next. I'll answer, Theo said. Marcus stepped closer. No. You do not speak without counsel. Theo didn't even look at him. I'm not hiding. The auditor began. State your involvement in the transfers. Theo's voice was steady. I signed them. Did you understand what the transfers meant? No. Who explained them to you? Marcus Ellery. The auditor wrote. No reaction. Just fact. Marcus's tone sharpened. You trusted me because I earned that trust. I kept this place functioning when your family fell apart. Theo didn't respond. He looked exhausted, but the kind of exhaustion that comes after choosing the truth. Milo opened the ledger. Your mother documented the shifts. She predicted manipulation. She left instructions and proof. Marcus turned his attention to me. You think you're saving him. But when the audit freezes the farm's accounts, payroll will stop. Workers will leave. Equipment leases will default. You aren't saving anything. You're burning your inheritance out of pride. Theo spoke quietly. She isn't the one who put us in this position. You did. Marcus didn't blink. Your sister abandoned this land. I kept it alive. She came back, Theo replied. You didn't expect that. The auditor continued, opening the consulting contract. One signature date made him pause. This contract was executed during your mother's hospitalization, he said. Theo's head snapped up. She couldn't sign anything that week. The auditor turned the page. There is no medical power of attorney authorizing substitute signature. Meaning, the agreement was invalid or worse. Marcus tried to recover. The family agreed verbally. Verbal agreements are irrelevant, the auditor said. Legality is based on documentation. Marcus finally understood he was losing the narrative. He reached into his coat and placed one more document on the table. A release agreement. If you sign this, he said to Theo, the audit ends. The farm stays intact. Everything continues. Theo lifted it slowly. Read the final clause, I said. He did. The clause stated that Marcus would retain ongoing authority over the farm's financial decisions. Permanently. Theo set the paper down. You wanted to own the farm, he said, barely above a whisper. You didn't want to help me. You wanted to replace me. Marcus's composure finally broke. You cannot run this farm without me. Theo stood. I can run it with the truth. Milo moved closer to Theo, not to protect him physically, but to show he wasn't standing alone. Marcus didn't look at either of them. He looked at me. You think this ends with justice, Marcus said. It ends with collapse. The audit freezes assets. The farm fails. And when it falls, everyone will know who broke it. He meant me. He wanted guilt to be the weapon. But guilt only works when you believe you caused the harm. I didn't. The collapse happened the moment you took control, I said. The auditor closed the ledger. Next step is recorded statements at the courthouse at noon. Theo nodded. Marcus stepped toward the door but paused before he left. If I go down, he said quietly, I will not go alone. Theo didn't hesitate. You already are. Marcus left. The door closed behind him. Silence settled. Not relief, not victory. The silence of something enormous shifting. Theo sank into a chair. Even if we prove everything, the farm still might not survive the audit freeze. We'll work around it, I said. How? He asked. I opened the binder to the clause I hadn't shown him yet. Clause 9. Mom didn't just protect the land. She protected its legacy. Milo leaned in. The working rights. Theo stared. We sell the operating rights, not the land itself. Yes, I said. The farm stays in the family. The business stays alive. Theo exhaled, hope sharp and fragile. The auditor gathered his files. You'll need a buyer with capital and trust already tied to this place. I already knew the name. A name I hadn't said aloud in years. I picked up my phone. Dialed. It rang once. Twice. A voice answered. Jonah, I said. It's Juniper. I need your help. Jonah arrived before noon. I heard his truck long before I saw it. The same deep engine tone I remembered from childhood, when he used to drive up the old gravel road to bring us supplies after storms. He stepped out, taller, older, tired in the eyes, but still Jonah. Theo stood on the porch waiting. They looked at each other for several seconds, not like strangers, not quite like brothers, but like men who shared the same wound. You called, Jonah said. I needed you, Theo replied. That was enough. Inside, Jonah listened as we laid everything out. The audit. The transfers. The contracts. Clause 9. Our mother's letter. He didn't interrupt. He didn't pity. He simply understood. I don't want to buy your land, Jonah said. I want to protect it. The workers can move under my agricultural cooperative temporarily. Farm keeps running. Payroll continues. You retain ownership. Once the audit clears you, we transfer rights back. It was exactly what we needed. Hope didn't rush in. It settled steady and warm. At the courthouse, Theo gave his recorded statement. He didn't look at Marcus. He didn't speak to him. He didn't apologize for telling the truth. Marcus was composed again, but it wasn't confidence anymore. It was just waiting for a verdict he couldn't shape. The auditor finished the session with a single clear instruction. The responsibility is tied to advisory intent, not the executor's signature. Mr. Ellery will undergo formal investigation. There were no outbursts, no final threats. Marcus's fall wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Because the moment control is gone, so is the performance. He left the courthouse in silence without looking back. When we returned to the farm, the sun was low, turning the fields gold. The same fields my mother walked when she knew she was dying. The same fields Theo stayed to take care of while I ran from grief. We stood in the yard. All three of us. Theo spoke first. I was never the strong one, June. You were, I said. You just didn't know strength doesn't mean alone. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. Not shame. Just release. Jonah looked out at the fields. You too rebuild. I'll hold things steady until the audit closes. And when it does, the farm stays yours. Theo nodded. Ours, he corrected. He looked at me when he said it. When loyalty is shaped into guilt, it becomes a cage. But when loyalty is shaped into truth, it becomes a bond. My mother didn't leave us a farm. She left us a way back to each other. If you are listening to this and you have been told you are not enough, that you must earn your place, your worth, your belonging, remember this. You do not need to suffer to deserve love. And you never have to carry everything alone. If this story reached you, stay. There are more truths like this one waiting to be told.